Aging is inevitable process in life. It is in the nature of humans to age, the frailties of the circle of life. Individuals must necessarily grow older, and with that comes diminished skills, capacity, strength, and vitality. If all these remain, physical and health conditions may weigh in on the capacity to navigate the vagaries and exigencies of life. This presents peculiar circumstances that necessitates actions through state-driven policies or communal arrangements that take into account the peculiar needs of the elderly. The logic is that those within the aged demography would have put in most of their youthful energies into service for several years and have become weak to go on all by themselves. The elder are therefore a vital consideration in the design and structure of safety nets created at individual, communal, or governmental levels. This is the practice across the world. Most countries have in place one form of safety net specific to the aged. Health, recreational, welfare, retirement packages, and more are part of the inclusive safety nets in some climes. Such social safety nets consist of non-contributory assistance existing to improve the lives of especially the vulnerable and frail. In some parts of the world, policies are in place for conditional and unconditional cash transfers, fee waivers, public works, and school feeding programs. Social safety nets initiative have a long history as a protective mechanism and can be traced back to ancient Egypt and the Roman Empire. A more recent history of social safety nets began in the 1980s, following global and bank events that influenced the initiative. In the broader sense, the World Bank estimates that social safety net programs have helped over 36% of the poorest in the world escape extreme poverty. However, the biggest challenge prevails in the poorest countries, as only 20% of the poorest inhabitants in low-income countries are included in social safety net programs. The elderly appear to be most excluded in low-income nations, where the bulk of this demography retire to misery, ill health, weak financial status, depression, among other negative indices. Some nations, however, post a more positive outlook in terms of care for the aged as a state policy. In Bangladesh, for instance, social safety net programs for the vulnerable, including the elderly, help them cope with natural disasters and other shocks. Incentives are provided to parents for children's education and health needs. In the United Kingdom, the elderly, mostly at the age bracket of 60 years and above, get free medical prescriptions and National Health Service (NHS) eye tests. They also get free NHS dental treatment and can also claim pension guarantee credits or other benefits if they are under state pension age. In Africa, communal arrangements prevail across the continent, while in recent times, most African countries have established social safety net programs as part of a broader strategy to protect and promote the poor, the elderly, and the vulnerable. Almost all African countries have now established at least one social safety net program, while some have more than one. In 2013, the government of Tanzania scaled up its productive social safety net program to cover all households living in extreme poverty, and by 2015, the program was delivering cash transfers to over 1 million households across the country. In Ethiopia, the government and donors launched the Productive Safety Net program in 2005 to shift millions of vulnerable and chronically food insecure rural people from recurrent emergency food aid to a more secure, predictable, and largely cash based form of social protection. The initiative also covered the elderly. In recent years, the Nigerian and its development partners have sought to develop social protection instruments to tackle the country's high rates of vulnerability among the elderly as part of a larger group of the poor. The government has introduced different kinds of social safety net program for the poor, the disabled, and the vulnerable. However, questions around the effectiveness of these initiatives remain focal. More pointedly, are elderly Nigerians being looked after as a state-driven policy? Those affected by insurgency, banditry, militancy, and communal clashes, are they factored in? Even the mandatory pension benefits of most elderly people, including those who fought for the peace of the nation, seems an intractable headache. After 35 years of service, most elderly persons still go through arduous obstacles to get retirement benefits. Some even die in the process, and nothing is done to compensate the family in some cases. In Nigeria, those aged 65 years and above, the elderly, make up 3.1% or 5.9 million of the total population of about 200 million. The elderly in Nigeria and their families face challenges in coping with functionality, physical, and psychological health issues of the aging process. These include changes in family dynamics, increased demand for medical services, increased economic stress, and decreased functional independence. The irony is that those who create obstacles to the well-being of the aged and retired end up being at the receiving end upon retirement too. It is the case of perpetrators today, victims tomorrow, since age is nature progression that catches up with all eventually.